I'm here with my buddy Don. Hi, Don.
Hello.
And this is episode 3 of season 2. How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm exhausted, but I'm great.
I feel you. We had a really, really long night at work last night. It was a long weekend.
Yes,
First 2 nights were good. The
Yes.
second 2 nights sucked.
Always
really
happens
bad.
that way. If you're working 3 nights, 2 days good, the third night's going to be
Yep.
shit on a stick.
It was
So,
poop.
It was total poop.
A lot of bad things happened.
Mm-hmm.
People got hurt.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes. But today's episode is going to be pretty cool. We are going to read stories about ESP and psychic stories. I found a really cool website, showed it to Dawn at work, and we really like it. It's called the TruePsychicStories.com.
Yeah.
So we're going to read some stories tonight for you guys. Don't forget to send us an email at thedeadtimeradio@gmail.com. Give us a call at 843-492-7966. If you like what you're listening to and you want to donate and become a patron, click on the Become a Patron button on the app in Podbean. Anyway, let's get started, shall we?
Sure.
So this was a cool site. It has a whole bunch of different stories about like psychic stuff, telekinesis, telepathy, unseen forces, ghosts and apparitions. I figured we could read some of these stories off today.
Yeah.
And find cool stuff. So let's look at this first one here. This one is called A Look into the Future. Either I came across a man who was clairvoyant and could see into the future, or I truly came across my guardian angel. 5 years ago, I was suffering from cancer. I was undergoing chemotherapy at the time this happened. I was taking a walk with my husband when we stopped at our local bar for a quick drink. Inside, my husband left me to go to the bar, and I sat alone at the table. A man approached me and asked if I would mind if he joined us. I motioned for him to sit down. I never do that, ever. If some dude I don't know comes up, hey, can I sit with you in a bar? No, thanks. Go fuck yourself.
Like the Dungeons and Dragons?
Yes.
The first episode
Yes.
that you did.
Yes.
I was like,
The
no.
worst party ever.
No.
Hey, can I come sit down and talk to you guys? No, go fuck yourself.
Oh.
All right. Well,
We had
you're
to
under arrest for murder.
We were. Yes. Billy made us under arrest for murder.
After a few moments, they murdered my whole fucking plot. That's why they got arrested for murder. Damn it.
Dude, the gameplay is you decide.
Yeah. Well,
And we
I
didn't-
decided.
Well, exactly what you just said. We didn't want him to come sit down with us. So, no, we're trying to sit here and have a meal. I don't want you to sit down and run your mouth. I don't want to hear it. I'm just trying to
rude.
relax and not have my indigestion because I'm trying to hear your mouth. So, no, you can't sit down at my table. So,
they
I agree
ended up
with you.
being the hero at the end.
I agree
just
with
so
you.
know.
I would not allow someone just to come, oh, yeah, come on, sit down, guys.
Right?
Hey, sit right there.
Exactly.
No, you're going to steal all my shit.
After a few moments, he began to stare at me, which made me very nervous. See, that would have been like, okay, you can leave the table now. Stop staring at me, you
Yeah,
fucking
don't do
weirdo.
that. Okay, why you got to be creepy McCreeperson?
Right?
You're not allowed at my table anymore.
Right.
I need you to leave.
Then he began to speak, and these were his exact words. I know what you have. It's breast cancer on the left side. I'm right, aren't I? Okay, that would have been a punch in the face. Yes, I replied, shocked at his comment. He continued, don't worry, you'll be fine. Really, you will recover. At this point, my husband had come over to the table looking quite puzzled as to what was going on. I repeated what the stranger had said to me, and my husband said, oh, yeah. How do you know since the doctors don't know what's going to happen yet? Wow.
How do you know? Because the doctors don't know what's going to happen yet. It's
Right.
really the way he said it.
Okay. I can get behind that.
Okay.
The man calmly looked me in the eyes and replied, I'm your guardian angel, and I have come here today to tell you you'll be fine. I know you don't believe me, but mark my words, everything I say will come true. With that, he got up and walked out of the bar. We never saw him again, but here I am 5 years and feeling fit and well. So one of the two things happened that night. Either I came across a man who was clairvoyant and could see into the future, or I truly came across my guardian angel. Whoever he was, he certainly knew what he was talking about, and I'll never be able to explain how that man or angel knew I had breast cancer. First of all, he told you he was your guardian angel, so that makes him not clairvoyant, but a guardian angel. Fucking people.
Yeah, but if he saw she had breast cancer, that could have just been the power of suggestion. Oh, you're going to be fine. So she made herself be fine.
What she left out was the fact that he felt her up.
He's like, oh, you're going to have breast
Yeah.
cancer on this side.
I feel a lump on the left
I feel
side.
a lump right here and right there.
Your left side's got lumps. Your lady lumps. Fuck. That was a pretty cool story, though.
That was cool.
That would freak me the
That would,
fuck out.
I don't know how I would process that.
I mean, if I was a nice person and was like, oh, yeah, sure, sit down. And he was like, you got ball cancer. Your left ball is swole.
You're going to have a prosthetic.
But you're going to...
Like a dog. When they take it out of there. And it's going to ting together like a bell.
But it'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
Your wiener might get crooked.
Your wiener might fall off.
No, we're getting to that later. That's going to be fun. All right.
That's the next show. That's not this show.
Here's another one. Mysterious figure. We came to a bridge, and once again, I saw the same figure. He wasn't moving, and I asked my dad, do you see that? Okay, just that quote alone is kind of creepy. When I was 9 years old, my dad and I were on our way home from a very important horse show that I hoped would qualify me for the state fair. Instead, I had lost by 1 point. 2 years of work down the drain in seconds. Hey, kid, that's life.
Yep.
On the way home, as we drove down a hill, I saw a figure kneeling by a house dressed in a white robe. No, that doesn't give off any creepy vibes at all, does it? Right after seeing him, I said to myself, is there a superhuman being out here? Make him give me another chance to qualify. A few minutes later, we came to a bridge, and once again, I saw the same figure. He wasn't moving, and I asked my dad, do you see that? He didn't answer, so I grabbed the wheel and slammed on the brakes. All right, you little shit.
Don't grab the wheel. You
could-
almost died.
you could
Jesus
fucking
supposed to
kill
grab
us.
the wheel. You're not Jesus.
Right? Maybe he thought that was Jeebus.
No.
So they're going across a bridge,
And you're grabbing the
and
wheel.
he's grabbing the wheel and slamming on the brakes.
Because there's a man in a white robe. I'm keeping driving. You need to push that gas pedal. I'm not pulling the wheel.
If I did that to my dad, I would have a black eye.
I'll be punched in the face.
He would punch me in the
Throat
fucking...
chop.
Yes.
Judo chop. Juji chop.
Do you do that to your son, though, when you're, like,
Yes,
stopping?
I do. It's not going to work.
The
My
mom
best friend
seatbelt?
knocked my boobs off in high school because she would do that. She would
My
drive
mom used to do
and
that
she'd
to me.
do
She still
karate
does
chop
it.
your boobs.
She still does it.
Your arm is not going to hold me
Like-
back. You just bruised both my tits by trying
know,
to hold
right?
me in the chair. I have a seatbelt on. I'm wearing a
Uh.
seatbelt. That's what its job is, not for you to karate Judy
Right?
chop my boobs.
I'm like, Mom,
Yes.
that's not going to work. I don't want my baby to get hurt. Okay.
Yes. That was Angie Case would karate chop my boobs.
As I stood there, I felt a rush from my feet out through my fingertips. At that moment, I knew I had qualified for the horse show. What?
What?
When we walked
What's
in
that?
the door... What?
Okay. What?
Oh, I skipped the whole thing. We were talking about bruised boobs, and I got little distracted because the word boobs was in it. We skidded across
Sorry.
the bridge and almost ran off the
That's my
road. My
fault.
dad asked, what the hell is wrong? All I could say was, you almost hit that man. He was on the bridge. I jumped out, ran back to the bridge. I looked, but he was nowhere in sight. As I stood there, I felt a rush from my feet out through my fingertips. At that moment, I knew I had qualified for the horse show. When we walked in the door, my grandma told us that there had been a mistake, and I, in fact, had qualified. Okay, this kid's from Florida, so that's all you need to know.
Orlando.
Florida man strikes again. So I can understand somebody being in a white robe on a bridge in Florida because
It's
most of the time,
9,000 degrees.
well, most of the time, Florida man's like eating people's faces because he had
Oh,
like
yeah, 'cause he's got
spoonfuls
the
of bath salts. Yeah.
And they're zombie face eaters.
Fuck yeah, they are. Fucking Florida man.
You're lucky you didn't go over that bridge.
Right?
You're on a bridge.
Dumbass. Wow. All right.
It's Orlando. Maybe it was like Red Bug Lake Road or something.
Maybe. My guardian angel. It was an experience I will long remember. That's what she said. For I believe my aunt reached out from the other world to save my life. I feel that what happened to me needs to be told. It proves to me that loved ones still live. One day I was walking down a Clark Street in Bellflower, California at about 2 p.m. I was going home to practice my music for school. Just as I was about to cross the street, I suddenly felt something pull me back. Whoa! Of course, I was startled and I practically stumbled backwards. I was shocked to see a car whiz around the corner. Could almost feel the force of it, so as it came within inches of me. That's what she said. Once I was about to get across the street, I heard someone say, "I'm here, Edith." I turned around quickly as no one had called me Edith since I was a little girl. When I looked, I was surprised to see my aunt, who had died years earlier. She smiled and waved and then faded from view. This dear lady had raised me and was the only mother I had known. As I continued on my way home, a lady said, "Gee, miss, you must have a guardian angel." "Oh," I said, "I do. It was an experience I will long remember, for I believe my aunt reached out from the other world to save my life." That's kind of a cool story.
That was cool.
I have to scroll up, though, because that's, like, not really ESP shit.
So what did you have? What were you on?
It was just this first page, different stories. It was cool stories.
Yeah, but what? Like you have all the categories. I wonder which one you were
I
in.
just didn't
Unseen
put it-
forces, maybe that's what.
Maybe. Who knows? Archives for ESP. Psychic vagabond. Ooh.
Oh,
I like that word.
vagabond. Sounds kind of dirty.
Yeah. Well, most vagabonds are kind of dirty.
Not like like dirty, not like
He's a scoundrel and a
he
vagabond.
lives on a train with some dirt,
Mm-hmm.
and corn and wheat and stuff.
He's a hobo.
Yeah.
I said, "I say, how do you know about Marie?" And she started leafing through one of her magazines. Looking up, she said, "It's all in here. It's all in here." Then she abruptly turned and walked out. God damn, I could have said something. I have worked in retail for over 19 years, and believe me, in that time, I've seen everything. From the nicest people in the world to the nastiest. I've seen a woman go into labor and rush off to the hospital, and I saw an elderly man collapse in front of me with a serious heart attack. But perhaps the strangest incident was the woman who was shabbily dressed and walked through the door carrying a stack of magazines. She laid them down on the counter right in front of me and started leafing through the pages, periodically looking up at me and smiling. Then, in the calmest, sweetest voice I ever heard, she said, "I'm not crazy, you know." "Can nobody asked you, lady? Did you start off a sentence with that?
Then you are.
You're fucking crazy."
Yeah. You back up 2 steps and hit the button under the desk.
Right.
Boop. Call security, please.
Yeah. I had expected to hear a voice that was a little off, a little brittle. I didn't think she would sound like a normal, intelligent person. What?
Was she going to sound like the bulky
Yeah, like,
lady?
what the fuck is wrong with people?
Is she going to sound like Katharine Hepburn or something?
Yeah. Oh, I'm not crazy yet now.
I'm not a crazy woman.
No, man.
You need to listen to me. I'm not a crazy woman.
Exactly. Holding a few of the magazines in her hands, she told me she picks up clues from writers who write in code in magazines and newspapers. Oh, yeah, she's not
That's
crazy.
the first clue. She's crazy.
Yeah. Now I knew she was a wacko. Yeah, that was your first clue? And she noticed the look in my eyes and said, "I know something about you that could be very helpful to you." I said, "Uh-huh, sure." And then she dropped the bombshell on me.
You dropped the bomb on me.
Oh. She put her face very close to mine. Okay, creepy. And said, "You should marry her, you know." I said, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Marie." Well, I was stunned. Marie was my girlfriend whom I had just met a month ago, and she was threatening to walk out on me if I refused to marry her. A month, and you're already talking about marriage? All right. So far, everybody in this story has some serious issues. Okay? And I have issues
We've
with
been dating
them.
a month. You better put a ring on it.
Yeah.
What's
No.
wrong with you?
No. That's
1
not
month.
how it works,
It's been 30
ladies.
days. I've had to put up with your shit for 30 days. 30.
30.
You better put a ring on it.
Oh, my God. This had come to a head the previous night. He said head. And how in the world did this strange vagabond know about it? After all, I had told no one at work about Marie because I try to separate business from pleasure. I say that to all the ladies. I said, "How do you know about Marie?" And she started leafing through one of her magazines. Looking up, she said, "It's all in here. It's all in here." Dawn, that's what she said.
Don't. No. She turned and walked out.
Then she
'cause
abruptly
was
turned and walked out. That's the
tired
story
of-
of my love life. Billy, it's all in here.
No.
See ya.
Nope.
I never
I'm
saw her
keeping it in
again, but I'll never understand how she did it. My best guess is that although I have no doubt she's mentally ill and my heart goes out to her, somehow she has developed psychic capabilities to allow her to pick up information from a person's thoughts. And then it came to me. When she entered the store and walked toward my counter, Marie was definitely on my mind at the time. I think she heard my thoughts, and that's why in this large store I worked in, she came directly up to me. Now, that leads to the whole hypothesis that crazy people do have some type of a different connection to things, like that maybe they're really not crazy. Although some people are just batshit fucking crazy.
So I've gotten messages while I've been, and I've walked up to strangers and told them. So they probably think I'm crazy, but what does it matter? I'm telling you information that I got that you need. So
it's all about the approach.
If you think I'm crazy or not, you needed that information.
But it's all about the approach.
So then I walk away like I'm.
Like if you
mystical.
walk up and go, "I'm not crazy," 90% chance you're fucking crazy.
Yeah, I'll just say I have something to tell you.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm not crazy because I am a little crazy, so
cray.
I would be lying, and I'd
cray.
try not to lie.
All right, you're going to read this one. Psychic toddler.
She possesses abnormal abilities that will serve her well in the future. She possesses paranormal abilities that will serve her well in the future. Excuse me. I have a little toddler named Jamie. She is the light of my life. And at the ripe old age of 6 months, I realized she sometimes had the ability to read my mind. As with most babies, if I smiled while I held her, she would smile back. But with Jamie, I soon found that if I kept a poker face and thought of something bad, she would frown and look puzzled. But when I thought of something happy and joyful, yet still keeping the same poker face, she would almost always smile. I demonstrated this to my husband, who kept a sharp eye on my demeanor to make sure I was keeping a straight face. And he couldn't believe his eyes. And when he tried it, he elicited the same response from Jamie. My little girl is now a couple of weeks shy of 2.5, and I think she may have a few other psychic attributes as well. For instance, when I come home with the groceries, I place my hand inside the bag, feel around for something, and then I ask her if I'm holding the milk carton. She'll either shake her head or nod. I'll do that with several more items, and I admit it's something she and I love to do. Her success rate is close to 70%, which is significantly higher than the law of averages. What?
Okay, this kind of sounds like some kind of creepy game.
She was with you in the store.
I'm putting my hand down the sack.
I'm going to put my hand in the sack.
Am I holding the milk carton? Is that what she calls it?
Put her hand in the sack?
Yeah.
Ew. I don't think Jamie will grow up to be a world-class psychic, but I do believe she possesses paranormal abilities that will serve her well in the future. Yes, stay away from people with their hands in bags and says, what do I have my hand on?
What's in my pocket, little girl?
What, is this some candy? Do you want some candy?
Is that a roll of nickels?
Ew. Turn left. Gross. No.
Oh, my goodness. Stop tormenting the children. The long goodbye. I was devastated that day at Heathrow when we said goodbye. So, I guess what they're doing is, taking some of the stuff out of here and putting the quotes at the front. And some of these quotes are really stupid.
Yeah, it's just weird.
It was September, Dawn, 2005, and I had just returned from a trip to Europe. I had been gone the entire summer, and although I was glad to be back and get on with my life, I had mixed emotions because I had left Linda, the woman of my dreams.
The woman of my dreams.
I've never dated a Linda.
That's probably a good thing. I don't think...
Let me explain.
You're ridiculous.
Linda was living in London, and we had met accidentally in a busy pub on one Friday night. We hit it off immediately, and I could tell by her face that she was really into me. For the next several weeks, we were inseparable. She had a part-time job, and every spare moment she spent with me. But Linda told me she had no intention of leaving London and coming back to the States. As I am at a place in life where I want to settle down and raise a family, I was devastated that day at Heathrow when she said goodbye. Linda made it clear that although she loved me, there was no way she would compromise. Tears were streaming down her face. I was controlling mine, but she was resolute, and that was that. I spent the next month job hunting. The European trip had been a present to myself after voluntarily leaving a job that I held for 12 years. But Linda was never far from my mind. In fact, this is why I'm writing you. I believe in the power of positive thinking, and that most of us possess psychic ability to one degree or another. I believe that.
Yeah, I know that to be true. As if you choose to acknowledge it or not.
Yeah, and then sometimes you don't know it, but things happen, and then you're like, you knew that was going to happen before it even happened.
Yeah.
I think I remember on an episode a long time ago, I used to dream about every house that we moved into.
Yeah, you said that.
Yeah. So it's like that kind of stuff. Or when I get a feeling in my stomach like something's wrong.
Yep. Or don't leave right now, or I need to leave right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll get like a feeling like really, really sad in my
me too.
belly. And then I'll get like a phone call that a friend got hurt or died or something like that. It's really weird stuff.
But the problem that I have is when you have that feeling and it goes on for like 2 days and you have gotten no news. So it's kind of like,
Yeah, and then you're like,
is
what
that
the
my
hell?
family? Is it me? What's happening? Yeah.
Right. I got that feeling. I don't know if you remember back in 2016 in October when that crazy fuckstick shot up that country concert in Las Vegas.
Yes.
I
You were
had
there?
a lot of friends there.
Oh, Lord.
And I had felt like something was wrong, something was off 2 days before it happened.
But you didn't know what.
But
or
I didn't
where.
know. I was
Yeah.
like, everything's good. I just talked to a couple of my friends, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw that and heard that, and I was like, holy fuck. And I sat and waited for like 4 days to get all the calls back from my friends to let me know they were okay.
Everybody was okay.
Yeah, everybody was fine.
Jesus.
There
that
was a couple
bad.
people that were pretty freaked out.
Yeah.
But
I was watching a show where they were talking about how the hospitals were handling all of that.
yeah,
All like it was a like a pretty much a military. Like they had you were colors, you were red or you were yellow
triage.
or like you were. If you didn't have any mortal wounds, you were moved over here. Like it was just like
green, red, and black.
it was bad.
Green's okay. Red,
They were doing like they
get them
ran
in
out
their
of
stat,
chest tubes.
and black
they were
is
doing,
expectant.
They were doing chest tubes right there in the hallway. Like they were. It was it was.
And those
That's bad.
hospitals, they're already busy, so I can't even
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
Because I worked at a few of them, and man, it was always nutty.
Yeah.
Although Linda and I had agreed not to write each other for fear of dragging out the agony, each night I meditated and silently called out to her to reconsider and come back. Night after night after night, I envisioned hearing a knock on the door, and upon opening it, there she stood, suitcase in hand and a look in her eye that said, "I'm yours." This isn't a fucking rom-com.
I was just gonna say that.
Jesus.
And then the music starts playing.
Right?
Oh.
Well, I admit it didn't happen exactly that way. It never happens that
No.
way.
No.
The,
It's not
the
applied.
icing would be he opens the door and it's pouring rain out. So she's
Yeah.
all wet, like
or
a wet
holding
dog.
a stereo,
Yeah.
or she's holding this,
Right.
this speaker up.
But she did come back 6 months later. And the first thing Linda did was call me from the airport to ask me to come and get her.
Come and get me.
When we finally laid eyes on one another, she said she had heard my pleas night after night, and she repeated precisely the same words I had used. That's kind of trippy. I just think she missed him. I don't think that was...
So is that if you're done with the dude though? Is that like stalking? Can you like stalk my head at night? I don't. it doesn't seem-
well, she wasn't done with him. She just didn't want to move away from London.
Well, I mean, she didn't have to.
She ended up doing it.
I know, because he was harassing her.
Yeah.
You just leave me alone. Stop talking to me while I'm sleeping.
I'm trying to sleep,
Trying to
motherfucker.
sleep.
I don't need to hear your
You know
fucking
I can
fruity
hear
ass
you.
voice in my head.
Yeah, knock it off. You should have come to me, and I'd have put a spell for protection and to shut all the voices out.
Well, that happened in 2005. I don't think she knew you.
That's true. Well, she may have.
Maybe.
She's Kentucky.
Both of these, yeah, it was Kentucky. This one's from New York.
Yes,
You
New
want to read
York.
that one?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead.
It says, I pick up on thoughts of my brother who lives 3,000 miles away. So I think that's like the strings that we were talking about. Like you can... When I was 9 years old, I was seriously injured on my bike when a car sideswiped me. Unconscious for several days, I woke up in the hospital and couldn't remember a thing. Fortunately, the only long-lasting physical problem is I walk with a slight limp. But I believe something happened to me during those days of unconsciousness because ever since I've had a sort of sixth sense. Although I can't predict everything that is going to happen, I do have special insights into certain things. For example, when the airplane went down in the Hudson River in New York, I had a premonition in a dream the night before. I could see people streaming from the plane onto life rafts, and could see that the shoreline was nearby. I could also see the skyscrapers in the distance. Long before President Obama decided to run for office, I envisioned a young, thin black man addressing a pool of reporters while standing behind a podium affixed with the presidential seal, and behind him were seated his wife and 2 young children, both girls. Sometimes I pick up on thoughts of my brother who lives 3,000 miles away on the other side of the continent. I'll call him up afterwards and tell him what he was thinking. This never fails to startle him. We are only 2 years apart, but if It is as if we had been born identical twins. We look alike, think alike, and are in the same profession, dentistry. However, he doesn't have the premonitions or ESP that I have because he didn't get hit by a car, probably.
Yeah. I mean, you hear about people like that get lucky with gambling and stuff after getting struck by lightning. You ever hear that?
No.
That's a big thing in Vegas. Like,
You get struck by lightning, you get.
yeah, supposedly
win?
you're better with gambling if you get struck by lightning.
So are you like affecting the.
I don't know.
Electronic?
Maybe it is. Maybe it's something
Like
that has
you
to do with
can't-
like the electromagnetism in the air.
Or like, everything's rigged over there, so maybe you're like turning it off or something with your
Yeah.
lightning ability.
There's like some dude that got hit and like hit the megabucks one time.
Oh.
And the megabucks out there is like, it was like 2 million or 3 million at the time.
Well, he lived. He should have won the lottery.
Yeah. Well, he won the lottery
That's
of
what everybody
life.
says. Life.
Because
You
he
won
got
your
hit by
life lottery?
lightning, right?
Hit by lightning.
Money ain't shit, son.
Woo.
I used to work with a guy before I joined the military. My first big job was at Walmart in North Carolina.
You worked at the Walmart? Billy.
I did, in the pet department.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah.
Around the snakes and the fish?
Yeah. And I had to
Aw.
clean up snake poop all the time.
Oh,
But there was the greeter was an older dude that was like trippy. He could shake your hand and then like tell you shit about yourself that nobody knew. He was a very fascinating guy. And I don't know whatever happened to him because I didn't stay at that job long. I ended up going to the military from there. But
you said my life's fucking going nowhere.
yeah,
I
he
work
would
at the
sit
fucking
there.
Walmart.
He was kind of cool because he would sit there and talk to you and like shake your hand. And then all of a sudden he would just start laying out facts. Like, how the fuck did you know that, dude?
Ew.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
it
was
was
stalking
trippy.
you. He didn't really know.
He probably just was like looking through people's windows.
He went into your trash.
18-year-old kids.
Break into your car while you're at work.
Yeah.
Find out all your shit. I know
Fucking
your
weird.
VIN number. I know where you live.
You
your
have
house
58
number.
cents in your bank account.
Yep.
What? That's not what it said
not-
this morning. It said 0.
58 cents. I made some money. I
Fucking
need to
A.
keep working at the Walmart. Maybe
I'm
I'll
rich,
get
bitch.
a raise.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, they talk about identical twins, and there's like some type of a bond there. that
Yeah,
they're
they're
kind of psychic.
one of the things we're gonna do a show on that.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of information out there of examples of twins that do that. So my Uncle Frankie, anytime my mom calls him, he gets freaked out.
Because he's worried something's going to happen.
Yeah, she does. If she calls him, usually
If my mom
it's
calls at
about-
a certain time, that's what I do.
Yeah. Like, oh shit. Can I talk to you? And he'll go, no, I don't want to know. I don't want to know any of it. He's the only sensible one.
Yeah, right?
I don't want to know any of it.
The less I know, the better everyone else is.
Yeah, exactly.
The Stranger. Ooh.
Ooh.
I own a small temp agency and have been doing this for over 20 years. Last week I had an experience I will never forget. And one thing is very clear. I will never be able to understand or explain what happened. Her name is Marge. Large Marge.
In charge.
And she walked in the door unannounced and without an appointment. Marge is about 40 years old, about 5 foot tall, slightly stocky, but with a very appealing presence. He got a boner when he saw Marge.
Marge made him large.
Right? She explained she had just moved to California from back east and she was just settling into her new life with her longtime boyfriend. Marge sat down before I had a chance to tell her she needed an appointment, and I immediately had the impression that she was different. Different in the sense that the look in her eyes was unlike anything I had ever seen. It was kind of all-knowing look. She had the eyes of someone ancient. Well, that's kind of rude. Someone who's experienced and implanted both knowledge and sadness. And when she began to talk, I was absolutely mesmerized by what she had to say.
Don't tell someone that your eyes look ancient.
Yeah, ever. Especially a woman. That's
I
a
need
good
go
way to get
some
a
cold
fat lip.
cream. Yeah. Who
That's
do you think
like-
you are telling me my eyes
Right?
are ancient?
That's like going up to a girl and you're like, "Are you pregnant?"
Oh, don't ever do that.
I
You
made
have
that
just
mistake once.
Signed your death warrant.
Once.
Don't ever do it, even if they are. Don't.
Right?
Mm-mm. Don't do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you don't go, oh, you're starting to show. Motherfucker, I didn't show nothing and I ain't pregnant. I just had 7 donuts.
Show my bean burritos I ate.
I'm going to show my fist in your eyeball. She told me fascinating stories about her childhood. Her father been a missionary in Africa. Across the rains down in Africa.
Beautiful. That was beautiful.
Oh, yeah. If you're fucking tone deaf. And was killed by a raiding party in Kenya. Holy shit!
That was a twist.
When she was only a child. What was this? This 1870s, and it was the fucking Zulus? Wow. She was then raised by an aunt because her mother never recovered from the violent death of her husband.
Yeah.
So mom went apeshit, crazy.
Mom went like, what's her face that was trying to murder everybody that murdered her husband.
Yeah, yeah. And her tales of her life with her aunt was fascinating because
Peppermint. There it was. Okay, go ahead.
Because she explained that her aunt had remarkable powers of ESP and that many of these powers had been transferred to her. By this, she meant that she too could read minds and know exactly what someone was thinking. See, ESP is not about reading minds. ESP is an empathetic type of thing.
It's an extra sensory
perception, right?
Yeah.
I was always under the understanding it was more like you could feel the empathy from someone so you could find out what was going on. I didn't think it was straight up fucking mind reading. But we'll get into that because the government did experiments with ESP. Of course they did. They do experiments with everything that we'll look up shortly here. But actually, when she told me this, I was wondering what my wife's reaction would be when I told her what I was now hearing. To my surprise, Marge blurted out, "She will think I'm crazy." And I said, "What did you say?" Marge replied, "Your wife will think I'm a nut." Well, that left me with no doubt whatsoever that Marge does indeed have the gift of ESP. Okay, she went on to tell me other things that crossed my mind during our conversation, such as guessing correctly the names of my two of my 3 kids' names, and something about my childhood that was very personal, which I don't care to reveal to anyone else, not even my wife.
Ooh.
I had never had an experience like this before. 2 days ago, I was able to place Marge on a work assignment, and I have very high aspirations for her. She is an exceptional person. Marge is kind of weird.
I like Marge. I think we would get along very well.
Maybe. I wonder if she drives a big truck.
Why?
You ever watched Pee Wee Herman's movie?
Yeah.
Large Marge?
She drove a big truck?
Yeah, she was a truck driver.
It's been a really long time.
All you got to do is put in secret program of psychics, and there you go. The ESP, the inside the government's secret program of psychic spies.
I know they do remote viewing to find out what.
Well, they used to have they used to do that thing too, with like remote viewing.
Yeah.
And then they also did like the whole card thing, where they would put a card up and say, "What card am I holding up?"
Okay.
Just to see if you had any type of ability.
Right.
And I think this was probably before they started using LSD for everything else too. So only the gods know with fucking government. Many people claim and many others question the existence of ESP. Aaron Moriarty of 48 Hours has gone searching for answers. In the 70s, a handsome ex-Israeli armor paratrooper popularized extrasensory perception, or ESP, Uri Geller. I remember him. He was the guy who could bend spoons.
That's what it says, yeah. Cool.
And he said he could see inside sealed containers and even read other people's minds. It was great television, but offstage, Geller had also caught the eye of the intelligence community. This is where it got very interesting, because scientists would consider, wait a minute, maybe we can read the minds of other government officials. Maybe we can see inside a nuclear facility in Russia, said National Security reporter Annie Jacobson. It sounds incredible, but it's true. Relying on now declassified documents, Jacobson had written about the U.S. government's decades-long attempts to use Uri Geller and others like him for psychic espionage. It's sort of like a highly classified black program inside of a black program. Isn't that racist? To call it a black program?
No, they're not.
Oh.
I mean, unknown.
I mean, nowadays you never know.
They just mean unknown.
Oh, I know what it means, but I'm just wondering if like somebody's gonna get offended now because they used black
Oh.
twice in a word in,
What
in
did
a
you tell me
sentence.
last night that they were taken off because somebody else was offended by something? Oh, Pepe Le
Pepe
Pew.
Le Pew, yeah,
They're trying to do away with Pepe Le Pew.
yeah. One, because you don't want the Russians or the Chinese to know what we were doing, and two, because a lot of scientists didn't want their colleagues to know what they were doing because of the embarrassment factor. And there had been long reports, said Jacobson, that the Kremlin was also experimenting with ways to weaponize people with ESP. There's a declassified report that talks about the Pentagon's real fear, citing Uri Geller by name, that if he was able to bend metal with his mind, he might be able to use his mind to interfere with the delicate electronic systems on a nuclear-tipped ICBM.
Yep.
Okay, first of all,
Yep.
it was shown by the Amazing Randy that Uri Geller was full of shit.
Who's Randy?
The Amazing Randy was a magician, but he used to debunk magic tricks.
Oh,
That was his thing.
that's what Finley likes to watch, how to do magic tricks.
Yeah,
So they'd
so-
debunk them and show you how to do it.
Right, and he would debunk all these like famous people like Uri Geller by showing him how it was easy to do what he did.
To bend the spoons and
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, they were like already pre-weakened.
So
it
how do
didn't
you
ta-
explain? He would have had to go through all the testing with like the cards and the in the envelopes. And
Maybe,
stuff.
but I mean,
so
he
maybe
was like
he did have a little bit.
he probably didn't have to because the government probably believed already because they're fucking morons and they'll believe anything. It's just like that. Do you see that movie? The people the men who stared at goats.
No, it looked silly. I didn't watch it. Where
That
the
was
ghosts
all
are
about
falling over.
These types of experiments
Oh.
in the military, psychic experiments.
George Clooney,
Yeah, where like
he could make them
trying to
fall
open
over.
up people's psychic abilities. It was not like stupid. It was actually a pretty funny movie.
Okay.
But it was interesting too. Uri Geller's skills turned out to be unreliable, as on his now infamous appearance on The Tonight Show in 1973. Johnny Carson, Uri was telling me you don't feel what? Strong tonight? Is that I don't feel strong, I can't. Well, I'm not trying to pressure you. I'm really not. Still, that didn't stop the government experiments. See, that was probably the worst thing to use as an example of being
For
unreliable.
a snippet, yeah.
That like, why don't you continue the rest?
Yeah, just
Fuck,
throw
man.
that. That's weird.
Still, that didn't stop the governmental experiments. In the 80s, the Defense Intelligence Agency began Project Stargate, which was, according to Dean Radin, a scientist who worked on the program, top secret. It's actually beyond top secret. The program employed about a dozen psychics and mediums. Its aim, espionage. Moriarty, that's like the perfect spy name for somebody,
Moriarty.
right?
That's Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, that's his nemesis, right?
Moriarty, yeah.
To see whether someone in the United States could spy on other countries from here just using their minds. Right. Did it work? It did work, yeah, Radin replied. Angela Ford was with Project Stargate for 9 years. She calls herself a medium. The Defense Department preferred remote viewer. I was good at finding people, she said. I was good at locating things. Art Bell had a dude that used to get on his show that he would remote view on the show and talk
Cool.
about stuff.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating. I didn't believe him.
Have you tried it?
No.
I can do it.
I didn't believe him, but
Yeah.
it was just still fascinating, like entertaining
Yeah.
to listen to. Moriarty asked, in a sense, were you hired as a psychic spy? I guess yes, she laughed. Her assignment? To look for missing hostages and fugitives without ever leaving a building at Fort Meade, Maryland. She recalled one assignment in 1989 when she says she was able to psychically track down a former customs agent who had allegedly gone rogue.
So, okay. Is she connecting to their string and just following it to where they are?
I don't know. Or is she just getting lucky?
Is she tying into...
Is there other information that they gave her that she was able to disseminate just by looking at that information, just like a good detective would do,
Okay.
and then changed it to make it look like she had
I was
some
going a whole different route with that.
psychic powers?
Yeah.
I
I was going like the way the way the psychics figure out murders, like they connect to that person and then they follow where they are right now. Like they're connected through their actions, like a murder, and then they follow where they are right now.
Well, I mean, do you
It's a
believe
string.
some of those psychics, though?
Some I do, some I don't. Some are Miss Cleo and just,
That's psychic detectives, right? That solved murders.
Yes. There are a few. They have like series on there where they do. They actually uncover new facts and stuff that they've been able to find by connecting to the horrible, horrible thing that happened. I guess because it leaves such an imprint as to where it is.
Yeah.
They connect to that, and then they can say what the guy looks like, if he has any scars on his face, or, what he's doing, if he drives truck, or if he's, psychotic or whatever.
Well, I just found a site that talks about the 10 psychics who solved crimes.
See?
We're going to look at some of these.
Cool. Okay, good.
Since she was a toddler, Christy Robinette has been communicating with spirits that haven't crossed over yet. But it was the appearance of the spirit of a young woman by her bedside one night that got Robinette involved in a criminal investigation. 20-year-old Ashley Howley disappeared near Columbus, Ohio in 2005 and had been missing for 4 years when Christy was supposedly visited by the dead girl's spirit. After some research, Robinette was able to track down local authorities and the family to give them some information about the case. She told detectives that Ashley had been kidnapped and murdered by her boyfriend, Robert McMichael II, then directed them to the location she believed Ashley would be found. The location was near McMichael's home. Police had believed all along the boyfriend was involved, but they wanted to wait to break ground until they had more evidence against him. So they already had, a real detective will go to the family members first as suspects. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, usually
because most murders are not just random.
Someone that you love.
Right. That chance came a while later when McMichaels was arrested for the murder of his mother and her boyfriend. As part of the plea bargain, he revealed the location of Howley's remains right at the location Robinette had identified. Robinette said the reason Howley visited her in the first place was so she could be put to rest and her family could find closure. Thanks to Robinette and the work of the police department, they were able to do just that.
Cool.
See, this is subjective to me because
Being able to find the body?
yeah, because I just
Okay, sometimes you
some
get
of these
information
people are
and
full of shit.
you don't want to tell that information because who are they going to look at? They're going to look at the psychic that
Right.
the psychic murdered
Yeah.
the person since she knew exactly where they were buried.
And do you really want to be a police officer and some psychic calls up and starts giving you information and you're like, this shit
Because
is
you'll
fucking
go
crazy,
like this, like
right? Because she's probably cray
over
cray.
here and listen to this because this person's a loony boon.
Irene Hughes finds bodies in
So
Chicago.
she may be a murderer. That would be my first thought if I
Right.
was a police officer. Look at this little old lady that's murdering people.
Look at
She's
that
dressed-
fucking smile on her face. She looks like she's got some body somewhere.
I'm going to grab you by the throat.
Yeah. Up until her death in 2012, Irene Hughes had been predicting numerous events in the city of Chicago, as well as helping the police force solve mysteries. 1966 marks the first year she helped police solve a crime. She predicted a man would be found near a large rock in the Calsag Canal dead after having been shot in the back. He would be wearing a white shirt and would be missing a shoe. Sure enough, Lieutenant Jerry Harmon of the Cook County Sheriff's Department would find the man just as Hughes predicted. They would go on to work on 8 other cases together, including one where Hughes would give Harmon the exact name of the killer. When aiding in an investigation, Hughes requests a photograph of the victim, sometimes clothing as well, and uses the photograph to meditate and draw conclusions from. Using this method, she has helped police on over 2,000 cases over the span of 25 years.
Wow.
Now, that's it. That's interesting and fascinating. But I'd like to see how many she was wrong about and how she might have accidentally put somebody in jail that didn't commit the crime, but that's who she's saying did.
Well, it just says she helped in over 2,000 cases.
Yeah.
It didn't say she solved. She only helped solve this one, it looks like. Well, they have
Yeah.
a definite on the one. So
yeah.
1 out of 2,000 is a pretty good hit.
I don't know. There's probably more.
That's not a good hit.
There's probably plenty more. Annette Martin finds Dennis Prado. People do not choose to be a psychic. It just happens. And Annette Martin is a prime example of that. She wanted to be an opera singer, but instead has been using her unique ability to find missing people for over 20 years. One of her most famous finds, however, was helping police locate the body of Dennis Prado, an elderly gentleman who had disappeared from his home. Search and rescue teams had been scouring the area of a 2,000-acre state park near Pacifica, California for almost 2 months to find the man, but had come up empty-handed. As a last resort, local police gave Martin a photograph of Prado and a map, asking her to see if she could pinpoint an area for them to search. Martin focused on the map and was able to give the police an area about 1/8 of a mile to comb through. They were skeptical at first, but searcher Roberta Hauser took a search dog with her and was able to discover the corpse of Mr. Prado right in the center of the circle Martin had pointed out. The police were stunned. Since that case, Martin has worked closely with various other police departments to help solve abduction and murder cases and has been featured on various TV and radio programs to talk about her gift.
She looks like Michelle.
Oh,
So I think that's cool.
that
If
is
you can
kind of
look-
cool.
You know, if you can find where the body is, it's no harm, no foul. That all you're doing is
I'll
you
give
know,
him the
track-
benefit of the doubt. Yeah, because I mean,
if
it
you
could.
have a
If
way.
you're a detective and somebody gives you a tip,
Yeah.
you
Well, I'm
always
gonna go
follow
there.
that tip,
Right.
whether it pans out or not.
Correct.
And then you can make your decision of whether they're a crackpot or not.
Right. And it's no crime until you find a body. So
Right.
you're using this lady to find the body so you can have information because there's information on the body. So you think if you do a crime, you've got DNA, you've got fingerprints, now you got like saliva. They could take saliva from clothes and like all this other stuff. Well, now you've got another factor,
Right.
a psychic. They can see where you are.
Yeah.
So just don't do
But how
evil
many-
stuff.
How many fucking departments have been burned from that stuff, though? You know what I mean? People that claim to be
So
psychics.
if that psychic is like
and they're like
fraud,
they're like fame
then
hounds.
all of those
You know what I mean?
cases that they helped with,
Yeah.
can they be thrown out? If that's your case, I would totally be like, look, she worked on my case.
You
and
get
I'm
a good
getting out of
enough
jail.
lawyer, you could probably throw anything
I'm
out.
getting out of jail because she's a fraud.
Yeah.
So
Lori McQuarrie finds Alexis Burke. I've heard of Lori McQuarrie.
you did? Is
Yeah.
she's a psychic? What's
Yeah,
it
she's
say?
the psychic. Alexis Burke, a 28-year-old mother living in Lake Oswego, Oregon, was reported missing by her husband, John Burke, 3 days after she had gone missing in March 1986. I bet the husband did it.
Ooh.
The officer taking the report thought Mr. Burke's reactions weren't what was to be expected of a man whose wife was missing, and an investigation began.
Mm-hmm.
Months later, with Alexis still missing and no leads, the family contacted psychic Lori McQuarrie, who gave some interesting information about the case. According to McQuarrie, the Burke's marriage was troubled, plagued by arguments over finances and John's lazy attitude towards working. See, he was
you
a
picked up
fucking
on it.
deadbeat.
You picked up on it, and you are psychic.
Yep.
You had already said.
No, I just watch a lot of detective shit. And it's
Crime
usually the boyfriend or the husband
ID channel.
that fucking does this shit.
Yeah.
And usually it's because he's a fucking deadbeat. And then the person supporting him is going, you need to get yourself a fucking job
You need to get up.
because you're lazy, you don't do shit but play PlayStation all day.
Thank you.
You jerk off with my good fucking hand towels, and
you jerk off with my good hand.
right? And I'm just sick of it. Get your ass off the couch and go find a fucking job. She sees one of the arguments leading to John strangling Alexis, then having his brother help him dispose of the body. McQuarrie outlined 30 different points about the murder and burial of Alexis Burke to Detective Bob Lee, and 29 of those points proved to be right. That's pretty good.
That's
pretty good. That's a 99% approval rating. Alexis's body was discovered buried just 75 yards from the building John worked at.
Uh-huh.
John was convicted and served 13 years in the Oregon State Penitentiary. 13 years?
That's all?
It's Oregon. His brother Kelly was identified as his accomplice, but served no time in exchange for showing detectives where the body was buried. Wow. What? He should be in prison too.
Wow.
Accessory to murder? And because
No,
he showed the body,
that's
he
called
didn't.
a plea deal.
Oh my God! Still.
You show me where the body is,
Yeah.
and then you get off scot-free, even though you helped with it.
Yeah.
So
With the
whoever's the
assistance,
first to talk, they're the winners.
dude.
'cause
If
they're
that
the
was
ones that don't
my
get in jail.
sister, and that fuckstick did that, and he got off, that I would be the one in prison next because I would have killed that motherfucker. With the assistance and accuracy of McQuarrie's psychic predictions, Detective Lee was able to solve the murder of Alexis Burke and give her family some closure. Pretty crazy.
Sometimes karma works out better than you can expect. Though.
Yeah. Why is it some of these psychics just look fucking wacky, though?
She looks like 1970s.
Mm-hmm. Or 80s.
Is that velour?
Dorothy Allison finds missing children. After some shockingly accurate premonitions when she was young, like predicting her father's sudden death, Dorothy Allison believed she had a gift and decided to use that gift to help those in need. For more than 30 years, Allison aided law enforcement agencies around the globe in finding at least 50 missing children before her death in 1999. Allison would often dream of the location of bodies and suspects and be able to lead law enforcement from there. In 1967, she told Nutley, New Jersey, detectives of a boy who would be found drowned in a river with his shoes on the wrong feet. A month later, a little boy was discovered bearing that exact description. A decade later, a girl would be found in an oil drum with the word Mar written on it. Allison predicted this through a vision 2 years before the girl was found.
Okay, let's stop. Can you imagine you going to sleep and all you dream about is dead kids? That's disturbing.
That is kind of weird.
That's horrible.
That is horrible. It's kind of
You
sad,
can't even
but
go to sleep.
that's kind of creepy.
Can't even go to sleep.
Well, apparently she slept well. She just got up and wrote it down.
Just wrote it down.
Allison predicted this through a vision 2 years before the girl was found. Her list of accurate descriptions and tips would continue on throughout her life and would lead to television appearances and a book deal. Allison never took any money besides travel expenses for her help, believing her sight should be a gift of good. Now, see, I could probably believe she's real.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people want to get paid for this shit.
You don't know. You
Right.
just pay for my expenses, right? You just pay for me to get there.
And though she did have some failures throughout her career, her assistance would prove helpful in many situations. See, and she was like humble about it.
Yeah,
she
sometimes
wasn't
you
always
get it
right.
wrong. Sometimes it's
You
not.
get these arrogant ones that you know that a lot of
Yeah.
them are full of shit.
Yeah.
They want to get book deals and they want to get
No.
fucking paid and they want to be on TV.
Sometimes you get it wrong.
5-star hotels, yeah.
And she couldn't have felt good if she
I mean-
got where a baby was not, you know?
Nobody
Maybe
can be
somebody
as
dug it up.
perfect as me all the time.
Right? We strive to do that, though, Billy.
I know.
We strive to be as perfect as you are.
But Emperor Billy is
In-
pristinely
of
perfect.
Belandia, yes.
Carol Pate finds Tyson Efford. Desperate for answers, a mother sought out Carol's. Do you notice that we went on a totally different fucking
Yeah, I
tangent?
did. I was waiting. It's Monday, and we've worked 36 hours, and we're doing this today because Billy has to work tomorrow.
Yeah, I
for
gotta
shift,
work
so
tomorrow night. Ugh.
We did just go on a tangent, but this is a cool psychic.
It's,
I mean, we're
it's
on
still
True
under
Psychics,
the same thing, right?
and
but
this is they're helping. To
This
solve
is far more
crimes.
interesting than some of those stories I was reading.
Yeah, these are people that are actually doing good.
Yeah. So
yeah,
anyway,
let's continue.
Carol Pate's psychic assisted to help find her missing 17-year-old son, Tyson Efford. Efford went missing from his job at the local food center in Malvern, Arkansas on November 14th, 1991. After a large manhunt ensued with no leads, Efford's mother came to Pate with her son's photograph for Pate to draw from. As she touches the photograph, Pate feels a strong connection to the boy that leads to startling visions of him being abused, both physically and sexually. A brief description of what his captors look like and the word ridge. Most importantly, though, she saw that Efford was alive, giving his parents hope that they would be able to find him. Pate was also able to lead police within a half a mile of where Efford was being held prisoner in a house on Ridge Road. After 6 days of being held captive, Tyson convinced his kidnappers to let him go. When he was reunited with his family and told of Pate's vivid visions of him, he was astonished by how spot on they were. She knew intimate details about what happened to him, and that only he and his attackers would have known. 2 men were arrested, tried, and given 3 consecutive life sentences in the kidnapping and rape of Tyson Efford. But Pate's research that Tyson was alive during the whole ordeal is what really brought peace to the family during a hard time.
Wow.
Man,
there are people that they kidnap somebody and they've got them in the basement for 5 years.
yeah,
or
remember
more.
the girls that escaped in Ohio?
Yeah.
They were down in the basement for years, like
Yeah.
like more than 11 years, and one of them had a kid with the guy. Could you imagine?
No.
I
It's
just
not only you.
I
it's now
just
you.
remember the guy that found them because they escaped, and it was a black guy across the street, and their neighbor that was like, they had him on the news, and he was one of those older black guys. He was like, I was just going out to get a cheeseburger from McDonald's, and this girl came up and started hugging and crying me. Oh my God, that guy was
They
fucking
find
hilarious.
the best people to
Oh, yeah.
interview. Like anytime around here in South Carolina, they find the most upstanding citizens that sound so intelligent.
Yes.
And they make it on YouTube
Yes.
and memes.
Or
and,
the local news too.
yeah.
What was that one dude, Andre? Remember that his girlfriend got raped and he came in and beat the guy's ass or something like that? And he was like super flamey guy. He was like, I can't remember. I'm sure Katie probably knows.
Yes.
She probably is already typing it up and going, Billy!
This is what it is.
Right?
No.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. I don't like it when kids get fucked with anyway.
No.
But
if they're alive, that's even better.
yeah, it sucks that the poor kid's gonna live his life totally different from now on, completely ruined. Etta Louise Smith found Melanie Uribe. Not everyone's psychic visions bode well with the police department, as Etta Louise Smith discovered when her vision led her to the body of Melanie Uribe, a 31-year-old nurse who was reported missing after failing to show up for work.
Dude, if I don't show up for work, you know something's happened.
Overcome by a very strong psychic vision after watching a news report about Uribe, Smith took it upon herself to drive up Lopez Canyon in Los Angeles and search for the body. After some time, she discovered the corpse of Uribe, nude except for her white nurse's shoes, face down behind some brush. An approaching police car was flagged down and Smith left the scene, only to be confronted by detectives at her home later that evening. After hours of questioning, the detectives did not believe her story of having a psychic vision that led her to Uribe, and they arrested her on suspicion of murder.
I told you. You keep your mouth shut.
Smith would spend 4 days in jail before she was eventually released, and the real killer was apprehended. Claiming defamation of character, Smith sued the LA Police Department and won a settlement for her wrongful arrest.
Yep.
And the distress it caused her.
Yep.
Hey, man. That was awesome.
We love you.
It was a good show. We will see you again soon. Give us a holler. deadtimeradio@gmail.com. Give us a call. 843-492-7966. We'll see you next time.
Bye.